Every day we walk past hundreds of people. On sidewalks, in stores, on buses, inside elevators. Most of the time, nothing unusual happens. But every once in a while, something does. Someone falls. Someone cries out. Someone looks lost, scared, or in pain. And in those moments, something strange often happens. People freeze, people watch, people wait. It feels confusing, it feels uncomfortable. And it raises a question we don't like to ask. Why do so many of us hesitate when someone clearly needs help? Why does a crowd become quiet instead of courageous? And why do ordinary people turn into passive observers the moment others are watching? This video is about that mystery. It's about a powerful psychological effect that shapes human behavior in groups one, that influences your decisions without you even noticing. It's called the bystander effect. And once you understand how it works, you'll understand not just why people fail to act, but how a single person can break the entire pattern. Let's dive in. Have you ever wondered why people sometimes just stand there when someone clearly needs help? Why a crowd can watch an emergency unfold, yet no one steps forward? Why dozens of witnesses can see something terrible happen and still stay frozen silent or simply walk away? It feels impossible, almost cruel. But the truth is much stranger than it seems. When we look closely, this isn't about people being bad, cold, or uncaring. It's about a very powerful psychological force that switches on inside crowds, a force that changes how we think, how we judge danger, and even how we feel responsibility. This force has a name. It's called the bystander effect. And once you understand it, you'll never look at crowds the same way again. Let's start with a simple scene you've probably witnessed in real life. Someone collapses in a crowded place. Maybe a subway station, a shopping mall, or a busy street. At least 30 people see it happen. Everyone looks for a moment, pauses, hesitates. Someone glances around to see if anyone else is reacting. No one moves. The person on the ground is still there, still needing help. And yet the crowd stays strangely frozen. One person takes out a phone, not to call emergency services, but to record. Others assume someone else will handle it. The moment stretches on painfully. And you might think if I were there, I would help immediately. But the surprising truth is statistically, you probably wouldn't. Not because you're heartless, but because of how the human mind behaves in groups. So let's break this down step by step in the simplest way possible. The bystander effect describes a psychological phenomenon where people are less likely to help someone in danger when other people are present. In other words, the more people who witness an emergency, the less likely it is that anyone will step forward. That seems completely backwards, right? Shouldn't more people mean more help? Shouldn't a larger crowd increase the chances that at least one person takes action? But that's not how human psychology works. When we're in a group, our sense of responsibility doesn't increase, it gets diluted. We don't feel personally accountable for what happens because we subconsciously expect that someone else will take care of it. Psychologists call this diffusion of responsibility. It's the first pillar of the bystander effect, and perhaps the most powerful. Imagine responsibility as a weight. When you're alone and see someone who needs help, the entire weight falls on you. There's no one else to act. But in a crowd, that same weight gets divided into dozens of tiny pieces. Each person feels just a tiny fraction of responsibility, barely enough to motivate action. This is why people say things like, someone else must have already called for help, or someone else probably knows what to do. But the truth is, everyone is thinking the same thing. The second pillar is social influence. Humans are wired to scan the behavior of people around them when they're unsure what to do. We look to others for cues. If everyone around you seems calm, you assume everything is fine. If no one else is stepping forward, you assume stepping forward might not be appropriate. It's a mental shortcut, one that usually helps us. But in emergencies, it turns deadly. When nobody acts, everyone interprets that silence as a signal that action isn't necessary. Then we have fear of judgment. People worry about doing the wrong thing, looking foolish, or misreading the situation. You might think, what if I overreact? What if I check on them and they're fine? What if I embarrass myself? That fear can be surprisingly paralyzing. And the larger the crowd, the stronger that fear becomes. Because now you're not just afraid of making a mistake. You're afraid of making a mistake in front of a lot of people. And then there's pluralistic ignorance. This one sounds complicated, but it's really simple. It's when everyone in a group assumes everyone else knows something they don't. Imagine you see someone lying on the ground. You worry they might be in trouble, but no one else seems alarmed. So you assume they know something you don't. Maybe the person is fine, maybe it's normal, maybe it's not an emergency at all. The problem is, everyone is thinking the same thing. Everyone is waiting for someone else to signal danger. And since no one signals danger, no one acts. These four forces, diffusion of responsibility, social influence, fear of judgment, and pluralistic ignorance, combine to create one of the strangest psychological traps humans fall into. And it's so consistent, so predictable, that psychologists have been studying it for decades. One of the most famous cases linked to the bystander effect is the story of Kitty Genovese. In 1964, Kitty was attacked near her apartment building in New York. Early reports claimed that dozens of neighbors heard or saw parts of the event, yet none of them intervened. The story shocked the world and became a symbol of public indifference. Later investigations revealed that the reporting was exaggerated, but the incident still led to groundbreaking research. Psychologists wanted to know, why do people fail to act when help is desperately needed? So researchers John Darley and Bystander designed experiments to understand this mystery. One of their most famous experiments involved smoke. They put participants in a room to fill out a questionnaire. After a few minutes, smoke began drifting into the room through a vent. When someone was alone, they almost always stood up, left the room, and reported the smoke. But when the person was in a group where the others stayed still, actors pretending not to notice the participant almost always stayed still too, even as the smoke thickened, even as visibility dropped. People trusted the calmness of the group more than their own eyes. Another experiment featured someone pretending to have a seizure in another room. When a participant believed they were the only witness, they rushed to help. But when they believed others were also hearing the same emergency, the likelihood of helping dropped dramatically. These studies revealed something unsettling. People don't ignore emergencies because they are cruel. They ignore emergencies because they look around, see no one else reacting, and assume everything must be under control. And if you've ever been in a group and felt strangely passive, now you know why. But the bystander effect isn't just something from classic psychology labs. It happens everywhere all the time. Picture someone fainting during a marathon. Runners near the person glance around, waiting to see how others respond. The first person hesitates. So does the second. And suddenly, the entire group freezes. It takes one decisive person stepping forward to break the spell. Or imagine a crowded beach where someone is struggling in the water. People look around. Some shade their eyes. Some assume a lifeguard is watching. Others assume a better swimmer will intervene. Minutes pass, and minutes matter. Or picture a busy road where someone's car has broken down. Cars keep passing each driver, thinking the same thought: someone else will stop. Even in digital spaces online, bullying, harassment, dangerous comments, thousands of people witness harmful behavior, but choose silence because they assume someone else will speak up. The bystander effect is not limited to danger. It happens in schools, workplaces, public spaces, and even friend groups. Someone is being mistreated, embarrassed, or ignored. People see it. People know it's wrong. But no one wants to be the first to challenge the group. There's a powerful twist here. The bystander effect almost disappears when just one person acts. One. That's all it takes. Research shows that when a single person steps forward, others quickly follow. Why? Because that person breaks the illusion that silence means safety. They signal to the group that it's okay to intervene. They give permission to help. This is why emergencies with one witness almost always get immediate action. When you're alone, there's no crowd to hide in. There's no diffusion of responsibility. There's no social influence pointing you in the wrong direction. There's just you and your instincts. So, how do we fight the bystander effect? How do we override these deep psychological tendencies? First, be aware that hesitation is normal. The goal isn't to destroy hesitation, but to recognize it. The next time your brain freezes, remind yourself this is the bystander effect, not a sign that you should stay still. Second, if you need help, call out specific people. Don't shout someone help. That phrase scatters responsibility. Instead, point to someone and say, "You in the red jacket, call an ambulance," or "You help me lift him." Studies show that specificity breaks the diffusion of responsibility instantly. Third, if you witness something, take even a small action. Walk toward the situation. Ask, "Are you okay?" Make a phone call. These actions signal to the group that intervention is needed. You might start a chain reaction. Fourth, understand that helping doesn't require perfection. You don't have to solve the situation alone. You just have to take the first step. Fifth, remember that embarrassment is temporary, but inaction can have lasting consequences. Most people don't regret helping, but many regret staying silent. Let's bring everything together with a clear picture. The bystander effect isn't about human cruelty. It's about human uncertainty. Crowds create confusion. Crowds create doubt, and doubt creates paralysis. When no one acts, everyone assumes there's no need to act. This creates a loop, and the loop continues until someone breaks it. And that someone can be you. Even simple actions save lives. Even a single question, "Do you need help?" can snap others out of the trance. When one person steps forward, the entire psychology of the crowd shifts. People wake up, people follow, people act. So the next time you see something that doesn't look right, trust your instincts. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for someone else to move first. Be the one who acts, because your action might be the spark that wakes everyone else up. The bystander effect isn't a flaw in human nature. It's a side effect of how deeply we rely on each other for cues. But once you understand it, you gain the power to break it. And sometimes that small moment of courage is all it takes to change everything. If you've made it this far, you now understand one of the most surprising truths about human behavior crowds. Don't make us stronger, they often make us slower. The bystander effect isn't about selfishness or cruelty. It's about confusion, hesitation, and the quiet hope that someone else will step forward first. But now you know the secret. One person can break the entire cycle. One voice can cut through the silence. One action can wake everyone else up. And more often than not, that one person isn't a hero, it's just someone who decided not to wait. So the next time you see someone who needs help, trust your instincts. Take a step, say a word. Do something small but decisive. Because your action is more powerful than you think. It doesn't just help the person in trouble, it gives everyone around you permission to help too. Thank you for watching. If you learned something new today, feel free to share this video with someone else. Awareness is the first step to breaking the bystander effect. And who knows, your share might be the moment someone chooses to act when it matters most.